This is the first time I've ever done this. I'm about to show you exactly how much I made from my side hustles last month. Although this is month one and this is the first income report that I have ever shown you for my business income and expenditure. This is not month one for my business. I have actually been running my business for 15 years now, and for a very long time it did incredibly well. It actually blew my mind how well it did. And then it gradually started to decline and decline. And for a very long time, I'd say like 1 to 2 years at least, it's been breaking even. I haven't been making any profit. I haven't been able to withdraw any money personally from my business. It's just been ticking over. So I'm trying really hard to reduce my expenditure and increase my income so I actually have a profit. So this is the opposite of a rags to riches story. This is riches to rags story, as with all of my videos on Freedom Kitty. I hit a point in my life which is pretty much rock bottom. I used to be very wealthy. I ended up getting divorced. My business declined to pretty much nothing. I had no job. I hadn't got a pension. No savings, no retirement fund, no hope of retiring early, didn't even have a job. And from that base of having absolutely nothing, I have managed to claw my way up bit by bit. So this channel is dedicated to starting from nothing and working towards my goal. My goal is early retirement. I would love to retire in 6 years. I'm currently age 46 and I would love to retire at the age of 53. So go and watch my other video where I lay down my exact plans for you. But this video is all about my business income, my side hustles, my passive income. And this first report is going to be a more detailed report because I'm going to tell you exactly why I spend every penny in my business the way I do, and where my income comes from or where it has come from and what I hope to do in the future. Stay tuned to the end because I'm going to share some of my goals for my side hustle with you and where I plan to take my business in the future. So let's dive into the numbers. This is my business finances tracking sheet. This tracks my income and my expenditure and my business savings every single month and my profit. So because my business is international, I buy and sell things in both pounds and dollars. I need a way to get everything back to just one currency. So I do track now in British pounds. I used to track in dollars because I used to make and buy almost everything exclusively in dollars, but now I have switched to selling in pounds, so it makes more sense for me to switch to pounds. But I do have this first column up here, which is the exchange rate, and I'm converting pounds to dollars up here just so if I do pay for something in dollars, which I often do, then I can convert it back to pounds so everything's in the same currency. If you just sell in one currency, you don't need to worry about that. The next section is money made but not received, and I like to put this in here because a lot of the money that I make on my business is made this month but not received until 3 months later. So it's good for me to know how my business is doing and what I might be able to predict coming in 3 months later. And in this section, I've got my own product sales here, and I've also got my ad revenue. I put banner ads on my website, on one of my websites that gets the most traffic from Mediavine, and this is the bulk of my business income. So it's good to know what's going to happen in a few months if this fluctuates up and down, so I can predict the future with this. This spreadsheet is actually very disappointing. It's actually not fun for me to share this, but I am doing it to make myself accountable and for you to also see how you can track your side hustle and your own business finances. But I used to make an absolute fortune in my business. I used to make, sometimes it was £17,000 a month. It was always over £10,000 a month. And most of that came from my product sales. Well, a vast majority of it came from my product sales, at least a third of it probably. And I'd also get a high amount from ad revenue on my website, and I'd also get a high proportion of that coming from commissions from Amazon products that I used to recommend. And not only has my traffic dwindled, but also the amount of money that you get given from both banner ads and also commissions on things like Amazon's. So Amazon has dwindled down to almost nothing after it being thousands upon thousands every single month. So that was a boom, and now this is a bust. So it's still going, my business is still going, and while it's still ticking over, I'm still going to record the income. I actually feel way better having a job now, to be honest with you, having a regular income, because this used to make me feel quite sick, wondering if I was going to have enough to pay my very high expenses every month. So let's have a look. So in December, my product sales, and this is not all of my product sales, this is my product sales that come into Stripe and PayPal. This is my old way of recording my products because I didn't get paid that money straight away. I would get paid it about once a month, and some of it I would just keep in there for a buffer, like I would keep a buffer in PayPal, so it didn't always reflect the amount of money that came out of my bank account was the same amount that I'd made in my products. So I used to like to record that in there. Now I do still make money on my own products, but it comes in a separate place now. So I've switched my business model because it was very expensive for me to keep my platform going when I wasn't really breaking even on the product sales. So I switched my platform. I used to use Thinkific, which is like a course delivery platform when I used to deliver a lot of courses. I still do have those courses, but I've put them on a different platform now. I've put them on Etsy, which is much cheaper for me to run. I pretty much pay as I go. You pay one small fee, I think it's about £15 on Etsy, and then you just pay as you go. You pay a small amount per product that you put on there. I think it's about 20 cents. Whereas in Thinkific, it was at least almost $400 a month. So the next section is money in the bank. This is what actually came into my bank account. So this is the most important bit. So I'm recording bank interest. Bank interest was £3.93. It's not actually brilliant considering the amount of savings I've got in there. So I need to think about getting some of that out now. One of my business models that I no longer work on, but I still receive a passive income on for doing absolutely zero work, is my network marketing business. I used to sell essential oils. I still love my essential oils. I still vouch for them. I still use them. They're absolutely amazing. I'm not going to ramble on about them too long because I could go on about how brilliant they are for a very long time. But basically how this business model works, I used to make about $3,000 a month or more on this business model. But now that has dwindled down because what you don't focus on tends to dwindle. So now it's gone down to about £181 a month. That's how much I made last month. But here's the catch with this business model. They force you to spend £100 a month on their products for you to get any commission at all. So at the moment, it's still worth it because I'm getting a profit of £81 and I'm getting £100 worth of products. The products are expensive. They're luxury products, but I do still use them. I do still like them. I make products out of them. I make breathing roll-ons, pain roll-ons, sleeping roll-ons, winding down roll-ons, and I use them for a variety of reasons. So I love them. I still use them. But if this ends up being less than the amount of money that I make, I probably will stop doing this business model. So that's what that is. This is how much I made from Amazon in December. So this is pretty low. It's almost not worth bothering with. It's just going down and down every single month. I actually have a potential to try a different type of business side hustle with Amazon, and that is Amazon Influencer. I've been accepted onto the Amazon Influencer program, but I just haven't made it a priority yet. This is basically Amazon commissions where you send out your links to people and they click on them, and if they buy something you get a commission. I don't really send out new links anymore, so this is just old blog posts that I wrote years ago. Most of the links die a death, most of the products go out of stock, so it needs constant updating and I'm not going to waste my time because the traffic just isn't worth it. Now this is where my actual product sales are. Etsy, they're on Etsy now. So last month in December, I made £41.59, which I'm quite happy with, but I would like this to be a lot higher. And it is kind of growing. It dipped down a bit in December from November, but apart from that, it has been gradually increasing every single month, but I don't know whether this is going to continue, so I'm just going to keep an eye on this. But this is the only thing I really put effort into now is my Etsy shop, and I rarely put out new products. I've done some financial products for this channel. I've put out my retirement spreadsheet, which has been selling really well. I've sold quite a few of those in January so far, so next month I'll give you an update and this will probably be higher. And I've also got all of my weight loss products, that I used to sell for an absolute fortune, my business training, my meal plans and everything, they're all a fraction of the price on Etsy now. But I don't really promote them anymore, so they're not really selling that well. I didn't provide any services last month, and I do make a commission from AdSense, which is from YouTube, I've got another YouTube channel which is monetized. And I did have a viral video on there that just kept going viral and was earning me quite a lot of money from my AdSense. But they don't seem to have pushed that out for a while, so that might have died a death as well. Although thinking about it, I think they've got a new criteria where you have to publish one video in the last 3 months, and I don't know if I've done that, so maybe I should do that. And at least I keep something ticking over. But then it's very hard to focus on something that you're not completely into at the moment. I still am massively into weight loss. I'm very passionate about it, but the YouTube gods decided to make my channel decline and not my videos not be seen by anybody. So I took a back seat on that channel and started focusing on Freedom Kitty instead. But I do have a feeling that if I took my weight loss videos off that channel and published them on a new channel, they would do a lot better, because I feel like YouTube had pigeonholed my YouTube channel into being about fruit, because it used to be about fruit. I used to be talking about fruit preparation, fruit recipes, and to jump from that into weight loss, I think it was too big of a stretch for YouTube. They pushed it out to my audience. My audience weren't interested in my weight loss videos, and they didn't push them out to anybody else. So that's what happened. It died a death. Because my channel was monetized, I was so reluctant to start a new channel and start from scratch. And now is probably not the right time to do that either, but maybe sometime in the future, who knows? Maybe when I've retired, I'll go back to it. Then these next two sections are money coming in from Stripe, and because I've changed my business model and I don't really advertise Stripe anymore, I'm probably not going to get any money coming in from Stripe, but I do still have money coming in from PayPal, because this is where my Mediavine payment gets paid into PayPal. So I take money out of PayPal every single month and put it into my bank. I usually leave about $1,000 in a buffer. And then now I've got the total income in my bank. So this is everything that actually came into my bank added up here. So it's not very much, it's £478, which if I didn't have any expenses, this would be amazing. I would be over the moon with £478 without expenses. But because I have expenses to take off that, it's not quite as exciting, and sometimes I go into a deficit. So let's have a look at my expenditure and see what the damage is. So in this section, I've got the exchange rate as well. Then I've got my banking fees. I keep on telling myself I should really switch banks because I would be able to get this reduced. So this should be one of my priorities, to focus on changing my banks, but it is quite a bit of a hassle to change my banks. But then again, I don't have as many income streams now, so it might not be as difficult as I think it will be. I know that there's very easy ways to switch a personal current account, but I'm not so sure it's as easy to switch a business account. And to be honest with you, one of the reasons I didn't switch was because my ex used to be a director in my business, and the divorce took such a long time to go through. I needed his permission for everything because he was a director. Now, finally, the divorce has gone through and he is removed from the business as a director. So now I've got the freedom to do what I want when I want. So this should actually be a priority. So it's good for me to talk this through because it makes me realize what I need to do. And every month when I do this spreadsheet, I do look at, do I need to be spending this money and could I reduce it? So I've reduced a massive amount of my monthly expenses from my business. I used to pay an absolute fortune. I used to pay probably I'd say about £5,000 in expenses. And as my business income has declined, I have had to continue to drop my business expenses. And very recently, it was about £1,000 a month. I had a staff member that I was paying. I was constantly hoping that my business would pick up. She was doing various things to try and increase my business, and none of them worked. So therefore, I unfortunately had to let her go and massively reduce my expenses, getting extremely ruthless. So that's probably one of the last things that I'm going to get ruthless on. I do pay an accountant, and usually it's about £70 a month. It was high in November because I had to pay them money to remove my ex as a director, and they charged me £180 to do that. And now it's gone back to a 73. I didn't realise that my ex had set up this direct debit to pay myself a salary every month, but my salary was actually nil. I was getting nothing from my business and haven't been for about a year, so that was an absolute waste of money. I was paying £25 to do the payroll and getting no money into my personal account. I didn't even realise that was how it was structured until I asked them about it. What am I paying this money for? Can you do a breakdown? They told me, and then I immediately cancelled the £25, but they said it takes 2 months to really rectify that. So that was November and December, and in January it's gone down to about £50. So that's a saving there, so that I'm happy about that. I pay for a WordPress tech support team £30 a month, and this is because most of my income comes into one of my websites, which is very passive now, but it still does get a fair amount of traffic to it. And if something goes wrong with that website, I want somebody to, one, maintain it and notice if something's gone wrong, and to be there in an emergency. Say if I'm going out and my website's gone down, I want to be able to send a quick email saying, please can you fix my website, it's gone down, because most of my income comes through this, and I don't want to be, I used to manage it myself, and it was an absolute stress, and it caused a lot of personal problems where I had things that I promised that I was going to do, my website had gone down, and I end up letting people down, or just being in a massive stress that I can't enjoy my personal life, and it's just not worth it. So I started paying £30 for the peace of mind of somebody else fixing it. But I would only pay that if I knew I'm getting this money every single month from my website. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be paying that money. Then I pay Google Suite. I kind of wish I'd never signed up for this, but it's very difficult for me to get out of this now and to stop paying it. I used to pay double this because I used to have a staff member on Google Suite, and I paid for my email address through here, and I've looked into it, and it is an absolute pain to transfer over and get it somewhere else. So until I've got the time to change my email address, then I'm probably going to continue to pay this. And I know what a pain it is to change your email address, because I use my email address for business stuff and also personal stuff. But unfortunately, it's also my ex's surname. So I've got my business, one of my business brands is my name, which is my business brand, and also my email address. And if I ever want to change my name away from my ex's name, my surname, then I would have a bit of a problem on my hands. That would be a bit of a ball ache. So next I have got the cost of products, which is my network marketing. So this is the £100 that I have to spend every month. So it ends up being just over £100, because it's very difficult to get the products exactly £100, but you have to have them at least £100, and then I pay for postage on top. So that's why it's £110 for that. Next, I have my hosting. I host with Big Scoots. I used to pay over £100 a month for this, and this is another thing that I have dropped. I used to be on a managed plan, and now I'm on a shared plan. And because I'm not getting as much traffic as I was, this doesn't really make much of a difference, but dropping it has made a massive difference to my expenses. The next thing I pay for is YouTube Premium, and this is not absolutely essential, but I do have a family plan, and I've got all of my family members on my plan, because most of us watch YouTube in our spare time. I watch a ton of YouTube videos. The reason why I pay for YouTube Premium is so that I can download them onto my phone and listen to them while my phone is closed. So I put my headphones in and I listen to them like a podcast. I do like podcasts, but I find podcasts very waffly. I find that people go on and on in podcasts and chit chat about random stuff. And I like to just get to the meat of the information. So I learn a lot of stuff from YouTube, and I find YouTube videos get straight to the point, whereas podcasts don't. So I do like YouTube, and I like to listen to them all over the place. I've learned everything that I've known pretty much from YouTube. So it is very important to me to have it ad-free as well, and be able to download it and listen to it when I'm on the move, when I'm in the kitchen, when I'm getting ready in the morning, everywhere I'm listening to a YouTube video. Next thing is eRank Keyword Research Tool. I used to pay for lots of these, and this is the only one I pay for at the moment, but when I put a new product onto Etsy, I do a bit of keyword research and just see what the keywords are before I put them on there. So that really helps with that. The next section is revenue. I have to pay VAT if I sell to any customers in Europe. So every month I have to have a look, see if I've sold to any customers in Europe, and pay a little amount of money to the revenue commissioners on here. The next section is unplanned expenses, which I very rarely do. But in November, you can see that I bought a microphone and a portable light with the hope of recording videos that are not sat at my desk like this one. And at some point in the future, I will get better at recording videos not at my desk, but this kind of video definitely needs to be at my desk because I'm going through my spreadsheet. So the other type of videos, I will try and do more of those not sitting at my desk to make it a bit more interesting in the future. The next section is memberships, where I had a membership to learn all about Etsy, and it was extremely helpful. Very, very good. I got a lot of help. They had coaches in there. They helped me loads for a very small amount. And they had this deal where if you get to 100 sales on your Etsy shop, then you stop paying for this. And thankfully, I have now reached 100 sales of my new Etsy shop. So although I have been charged in December, this has now been put down to free. So I've still got access to all of the coaching and all of the course and everything in the Facebook group, and I don't pay any money to expenses, which is fantastic. So my total expenses for December was £298.53, but this is for my monthly expenses. So this section's monthly expenses, and now we're going to move on to annual expenses, which is where a lot of the expenditure has come from in December. So on this side here, I have listed the annual expenses that I've got and when they come out. So I've got various domain names that total £82 a year. I pay for an app called ScreenPal, which is what I'm using right now to record this video. So this is what I use for my recording. It helps me to record either myself, a screen recording, or both at the same time. And then I use it for editing, and it's getting better and better. It is quite cheap. It's only £36 a year. So I'm quite happy to continue paying for that. I really enjoy using it. Then I pay for a registered office. This is a bit of a pain really, but when I used to live in Scotland, I set up my company in Scotland, and because it's set up in Scotland, it has to have an address in Scotland. So I pay for a registered address in Scotland. £47 a year, it is a bit of a pain. I'm considering going down to self-employment, so I've not got a company anymore because I don't really think that I make enough money to justify the added accountancy fees for a limited company. But I don't think it makes too much of a difference because there's different tax implications. So I think I'll just keep going with what I've got for now. This was my email address. I've currently got an email address with ActiveCampaign, and I used to spend £902 a year, which is actually a cheap plan because I signed up with them many, many years ago. They kept me on the cheap plan. But it would probably be more than double because I've got quite a big email list. But the thing is about my email list, this is for my weight loss business, and I had been sending out weekly emails and I hadn't really been making the money that I had been spending. So I have decided that I'm probably going to let my email list go. I think I've got about 8,000 people on my email list, and I'm probably just going to let them go. I'll save them in a spreadsheet just in case I want to keep them, but I probably won't keep paying. I did look into a cheaper option. I found one for about £26 a month, but then I thought to myself, what's the point in even spending £26 a month if it's not really what you're focusing on? If I'm letting my YouTube channel go, I'm probably just going to let that go. This was another keyword tool that I was spending money on. It's due in July, but I've cancelled this. I'm no longer going to be spending money on this. I pay for Galaxy.ai, which is a suite of AI tools. I keep meaning to use all of the other tools, like the image creation tools for my Canva, for my Etsy shop. But so far, all I've been using is the Chat GPT, and I absolutely love that. I use it to plan all my videos. I use it for so many different things, and it remembers me, and it doesn't time out. It doesn't say that I've used too much credit, or it doesn't say that it's gone down like the free one used to do all the time. So I don't mind paying for that at the moment. £73 a year, £6 a month. I also pay for Dropbox storage. I've got quite a lot of business stuff in here and also personal stuff. £95 a year, £7.99 a month. I also pay for Canva. Canva is an image creation tool. So I use Canva to create all of my images for my Etsy shop and for all my business needs, actually. Everything for my YouTube banners, everything I create in Canva. I think it's well worth it for the professional, and I need it for the professional one because I do send out templates and use a lot of the professional tools. So that's £100 a year, £8.33 a month. I also pay insurance for my business, which I need to do, like liability insurance, £121 a year, £10 a month. So what I've done is I've divided all of these annual business costs by 12, and I've got the monthly costs. So it's an average of £46 a month, which isn't too bad actually for my annual expenses. It used to be way higher than this. Until very recently, it worked out at £134 per month, and now it's down to 46. So I think I've done well in decreasing these expenses. So now it works out the total expenses that are budgeted. So every single month I'm budgeting pretty much almost £300, £296 for my expenses per month. So let's have a look at what I actually spent on my annual expenses. I bought one domain name renewal, my Canva was due, and my business insurance was due. So 3 out of these annual expenses were due in December, which is quite a lot. But thankfully I don't have any expenses. My annual expenses now don't come out until May, and it's not very much money coming out in May either. The June one has now been cancelled. The July one's now been cancelled. I've got a couple in August and nothing until December, so it's not too bad actually. So it was a high month for expenses, £542 over both expenses in December. So now let's look at the summary. So income made £478, but my expenses were higher, £542. So that means I made a loss of £63. And it also, this calculates money for tax. If you need to put away money for tax, this is how much I would have needed to put away, but because it's in a minus, I'm not going to put that amount away for tax. Last month, I actually did make a profit, and I put money away for tax in the tax account. So if I had a profit, I would have typed money in here that I would have saved. So last month, I decided to save £200 because it was my gross profit, take away my tax. So that was £203 into my saving account. This is how much I pay myself, and I haven't been paying myself for quite a long time now. So this is probably going to change. I'm probably going to start taking money out of my savings account, because at the moment I've got in my savings account £8,213 in my business savings. I used to like to keep a buffer of £10,000 because my business expenses used to be so high. It made sense for me to have such a high buffer. In fact, it probably should have been a lot higher than that. But now that my business expenses are so low, I don't need such a large buffer, and it's not making interest. It's making a tiny amount of interest, like £3 of interest for all that money saved. I could be doing so much better taking a lot of that out. So I'm probably going to take some of that out. I was also waiting until I got divorced, because until I got divorced, half of my money is also my ex's money, so I didn't want to take this out. So that was another reason I left it in there. But now I am divorced, which is fantastic. I can take this money out and it's actually my money. So I'm going to have a think about how much money I'm going to take out this month, because I probably could really use this with my moving costs at the moment. So this is how much I've got in my tax account, and this is how much is or was in the current account at the start of January. I try and keep about £1,000 in my current account as a buffer every single month. Even if that means dipping into my savings and putting that money into my current account, I don't like to have less than that, just in case a big bill unexpectedly comes out, which it shouldn't do, but you just never know. It just gives me peace of mind. So this column here is the change in the savings account. All it's gone up by is the interest, that's it. So what did you think? That was actually quite hard for me to share. For many years now, I have really struggled with the disappointment of my business pretty much failing. It's horrible to feel like you're a failure, and to publicly share this, it does make me feel really bad, but I'm trying not to think of it that way. I'm trying to reframe it into a positive, and the positive is that I do actually have a full-time job now. So this is a side hustle. This is not my full-time business anymore. Anything that I make above and beyond my full-time income is a major bonus. Even if it's just £100, that's a massive amount of money to make while you've still got a full-time job as well. I remember when I first started my business, my very first paycheck was £30, and I was so grateful for that £30. So I'm taking myself back to that feeling now of watching every penny and not wasting money anymore. When you make a lot of money, it's so easy for that money to not feel like it's real money. It just feels like you can be wasteful. You don't have to watch it. You can just blow it on whatever you feel like. It's actually much more freeing to be in control of your money, even if you earn much less. That's how I feel anyway. So my goals for my business going forward. I'm really happy about the way this YouTube channel is going. I'm getting very close to being monetized, and it wasn't my original goal. My original goal was just to have a hobby, to build a community, something that I was passionate about, because I love projects like this. But if you can earn money through doing what you love, then why wouldn't you do it? So I'd love to earn some YouTube revenue. I know it's not going to be a huge amount, but every little helps. And I've also started selling my spreadsheets. So I'll leave a link to my shop in the description below, because they're currently very cheap, and I'll probably very gradually put my prices up every single month. And so far this month, they've been selling extremely well. I also plan to put more products into my Etsy shop. Any template, any form, any spreadsheet that I've personally got value from, and I've got a lot of them, I'm going to be putting for sale, because there are a lot of people out there who don't have the time to create spreadsheets. And yes, there are people out there like me who love spreadsheets, and they look at my spreadsheets and they think they're very basic. But what I like about my spreadsheets is they do the job they're intending to do, and they're not overly complicated. And people just don't have time to create their own spreadsheets, so they go looking for them. And I do really need to change my business bank. That is a to-do item, but I'm probably not going to focus on that now because things are far too hectic on the housing front. And I'll leave all that to another video. But things are getting very exciting. So stay tuned if you want to know what's happening with my move, with the downsizing, with the putting money from the house into the investment, all that kind of thing, building up the investments from scratch, building up my workplace pension from scratch, building up my savings from scratch. So what I plan to do on this channel is I plan to share at least 4 income reports every single month. But let me know if these get boring and I'll stop sharing them, or I'll reduce the frequency. So I'm planning to do 1 business update every single month, 1 personal finance income and expenditure report every single month, 1 investment report every single month. Although I'm not sure whether I will share that one every month because not a lot may change in that one. But it might still be interesting to see the progress. And my net worth tracker. Even if it gets a bit boring, I'll try and find some way to make these more interesting. So what extra information can I add into these to make it more interesting every single month? Let me know in the comments below. And alongside these, I'm hoping to do 2 videos every week. So along with these 4 income reports, I'm planning to do some personal updates on how things are going with the housing, how I'm saving money, how I'm having cheap adventures, that kind of thing. So let me know what kind of comment you would like to see. Have you got any questions for me that you would like me to cover in a video? Let me know in the comments below. And I would love to hear from you. I would love to know, do you have a business or a side hustle or a way of making extra money alongside your job? What is it, and has it been successful for you? Does it require a lot of your time? Is it worth the effort? A lot of the things I focus on are what they call passive income, where you do the work once and you keep on making money as a result in the future. But a lot of people have active income sources. But I like passive income sources because life gets busy and sometimes I don't have time for the active income sources, or I want to do them when I want to do them, and that probably doesn't involve working with a client. But you never know, I might do in the future. Hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you very soon.